There's a joke I heard, I think during seminary, that goes something like this. A family of staunch New England churchgoers talked about how they were all able on their 18th birthdays to walk on water. The youngest son looked forward to this for years, having heard that story all the time growing up. And so one sunny July day, his 18th birthday, he went out to the lake to give it a try. He walked to the end of a boat dock, but when he stepped out on the water, he immediately plunged all the way to the bottom. He swam out, dried off, and went home. When he got there, he sadly declared to his mother, "It's my 18th birthday. I went to the pool, to the lake today to try walking on water the way all of you did, and I sank. Is it my fate?" His mother said, "No, son. We were all born in January." Now, a few years back, in the early 2000s, I remember reading an article that suggested that Jesus actually didn't walk on water. Rather, a professor suggested he probably benefited from a rare weather event that led to part of the surface freezing on the Sea of Galilee, and he actually walked on ice. I suppose this is possible. I do find it entertaining to read all the alternative explanations for the miracles we read about in the Bible. Last week, we read about the feeding of the multitude. I've heard that explained as, well, the disciples went around and collected all the snacks that many people brought along and just redistributed it to the people who had nothing. I've heard the parting of the Red Sea by Moses explained as a tidal event. All kinds of theories have been proposed to explain how Jesus rose from the dead, but not really. The body was stolen. That's actually in Scripture. And then the resurrection appearances were just fantasies or lies that the disciples told to rile people up. He wasn't really dead. That's another one. He wasn't really dead, just badly hurt and without perceptible vital signs, and he just woke up later in the tomb and then walked out. I've never really bought into the alternative explanations of miracles because I was never worried about the implausibility of them. I believe that God created the entire universe and that the universe operates under laws that God ordained. The God that created neutron stars and black holes and all the phenomena that we see in the universe that we just are now coming to understand, is it implausible that a being of such power should be able to suspend the laws of nature if that being made them in the first place? Is it implausible that if that being chose to be born and live as one of us, he might occasionally choose to do so in order to impress upon his followers that he was who he claimed to be? So when I read this passage, yes, I think it's amazing that Jesus walked on water. But the more interesting and familiar part of the story is the doubt and fear of the disciples. Because doubt and fear among followers of Jesus has been common for nearly 2,000 years. I might even argue that it is precisely that fear and doubt that is the greatest problem in the church of our day, or any day. Even the people who watched this happen were fearful, because that doesn't happen. Right? Even Peter, who dared enough to step out of the boat in faith, who stepped out onto the waters and walked for a moment, doubted and then sank. Jesus knew that somehow he had to strengthen their faith and help them to overcome their fears, because a church that believes Jesus is who he says he is isn't enough. Such a church can still be paralyzed by fear and doubt. I believe that Jesus could walk on water. I believe that Jesus could cure the sick. I believe that Jesus could cast out demons and turn water into wine. But I'm not God. I'm not Jesus. I can't do those things. When Jesus pulled Peter back into the boat, all the people in the boat worshiped him. But the fact remains, they were all afraid and they all doubted. Even Peter. Maybe that's what they told themselves, the same thing so many of us have told ourselves. Yes, Jesus was amazing, but I'm not. Maybe we're afraid and doubtful, and we know that some of the things Jesus wants the church to do are risky and dangerous. You and I aren't called to walk on water or cure cancer or turn water into wine. It would be great if we were able to do those things, but the point of the story isn't that Jesus could walk on water. The point is that he called his friend to step out in faith, put his fears aside, and do something that Jesus was doing. Really, if you think about it, walking on water is impressive, but trivial. Other miracles are impressive and help the subjects of them, but the reason that the God who created the universe performed these miracles wasn't primarily to help the subjects of them. Even if Peter had believed and retained water walking as his superpower for the rest of his life, how would human life be different because of it? One person walking on water wouldn't change the world. The important thing that resulted from this and other miracles wasn't that someone got wine for their wedding, or sight after having been blind, or a view of something amazing like walking on water. That's fantastic if you're the couple who got married, or the person who was blind, or the person that saw that really cool thing. It's that miracles lend authority to the one who performs them. Jesus did these things so that we could see that the same generative power that brought the universe together was at work through him. Jesus performed miracles so that people could see the hand of God in the world when they know that so often the world is cruel and arbitrary and chaotic. And he called us to follow him, to do the kinds of things that he might do in any given situation, to serve the world in the way that he served, to love the way that he loved, because every person who sees those things is changed by it. They're changed even just a little bit, and sometimes quite a lot. It's not just the person who walks on the water who might be transformed, it's all the people who witness it. We all know that we're affected by the things we see and experience. The great miracle of the church is that in spite of all the fears and doubts we've had historically, great things have happened when we've been able to step out, even for a moment, with courage and faith, as Jesus did for his whole life, as he does to this day. God's love and faith in us, in spite of our fears and doubts, can change us. If we believe and then act in faith, others will see and hope will grow and the world will change. Because people still watch the church to see what the church is going to do. And when we do nothing or settle for just saying how wonderful it would be if we all just got along, people just think to themselves, they can't do any more than we can. They're just as powerless and afraid as we are. But I know better than that, because I know you. Yes, Jesus was amazing. And yes, sometimes so are you. So am I. When we have the courage and the faith to step out into the world and not be afraid of the storm, we can work miracles. I believe this about us, about our church. Do you?